I've worked in a job that only ever deals with the bad side of things. But I always set myself this idea that the minute I cease to be shocked or angry, that was the time to hang up my boots and move on. We know that he killed in 1987, but even I didn't think that as a human race we could be so cruel. And it's that moment when you first plug in the hard drive and you look at what you're confronted with, that's when the kind of reality of the case can start hitting home. You catch your breath, and you know that what you are seeing is so far out of anyone's frame of reference. This is not a human being doing this. So this has to be something other. This is a monster. Those things, they haunt you, and they can haunt you for a long, long time.
I think this job is still very raw with me. It's the hardest case I've ever worked on, but I wouldn't have not wanted to be involved.
Straight in.
I just kept thinking to myself that we are going to actually arrest the person who was responsible for two of the longest running unsolved murders in British criminal history, and the person that people still lived in fear of.
Hello. Morning, this place. Hello, we need to come and speak to you.
I was only 7 years old when these murders happened, but they were massive in Tunbridge Wells. I grew up knowing full well that the person responsible for these murders was still on the loose.
Seize the drawer, pull the drawer out, put it in the bag.
Yeah, you just want the whole lot done
I'll
like
have the
that.
whole lot, yep. I'll have that one as well.
If I'm honest, I don't think anyone could have predicted what we were going to find when we searched his house.
Are they ones he's taken?
Well, why does that person look
Dead.
The investigation has stolen a piece of my soul, and I'm confident that I'm not the only officer that feels that.
In 1987, Tunbridge Wells was a really nice place to be. It was affluent, very sort of middle class. You know, I was 18, then 19, and I think you have this sort of feeling of invincibility, don't you, that nothing's going to happen to you, and it is perfectly all right to be walking back over the common late at night. We lived a nice life there at that time.
The summer of 1987 is a summer I'll not forget. I was head of Kent CID, which entailed the investigation of all serious crimes committed in the Kent police area. Just as in most towns, Tunbridge Wells has got certain areas where older houses are being converted into flats and bedsits, and I was made aware that there were increasing reports coming in of prowlers. Imagine you're a woman alone in your bedsit, and you look up and you see a shadow looking through your window. Terrifying. Prowlers are difficult to catch. They know the back alleys. They may have been doing it for years, and they get away with it. We received a call. A young woman's body had been found in a bedsit by her boyfriend. She lived in Guildford Road, which is one of the areas where we knew that there was prowler activity.
It was a tiny flat, a one-room bedsit. Over in one corner there was a partially opened window, and then you could see laying on the bed was what appeared to be a body covered in a duvet. There was blood staining on the floor at the side of the bed. There was blood spatters on a wall. The body was laying on her left-hand side with her knees slightly bent, and rather than just dumped there, appeared to have been just carefully placed. Once we uncovered the body, you then saw that there was obviously signs of a head injury. We removed the duvet, the pillowcases, to preserve them. There was a pink towel which appeared to be blood-stained, and there was also a blood-stained plastic bag.
At the post-mortem, it was established that the woman had received a heavy blow to the head, had been strangled, and then been sexually assaulted. She was 25 years old, and her name was Wendy Nell.
When Dad got the call, he drove straight down to Wendy's flat. Police were everywhere, swarming around. He tried to get in, and they wouldn't let him. They just said the girl inside the flat was dead. So that's how he found out his daughter had died. My name is Jane, and Wendy Nell was my little sister. Everyone loved her. No one I've spoken to ever had a bad word about her. I was the quiet, boring, sensible one, and she was the daft, scatty, silly one. She left home and got married, and it didn't work out at all, so she ended up having to get divorced. But she come through it the other side and made a new life for herself. Wendy had a good career starting after that. She got a job in a shop called Super Snaps. She enjoyed it, and she made her way up to manageress. She got a new fellow and he lived over Tunbridge Wells as well, so it gave her a very, very good new start. Mum's 85 now, and I still think she finds it hard to process this.
She was killed in June on her father's birthday. She only lived 25 years. She would be 60 this year. Once we got the news, it was so part of you had died, if you know what I mean. And you knew you'd got to carry on, but you didn't know how. You didn't want to believe it, but you'd got to believe it. I've got a photo next to my bed of Wendy, taken just before she was killed. And I always kiss it night and morning. It's the only way I've got of seeing her. That keeps me going. And it gives me that, I don't know what it is, but it gives me something. It hurts more than anything. I don't think I'm the same person. You'll have to ask my daughter that one.
Initially, when this all happened, the police interviewed literally everyone. Everyone, you know, was a suspect. Her boyfriend, my dad, even my husband. They literally interviewed everybody.
At 12 o'clock, BBC Radio Kent News. Police today issued a fresh appeal for witnesses following the murder of the Tunbridge Wells shop manageress Wendy Nell earlier this week.
This was a gruesome murder of a young woman alone, so there was a lot of public expectation, especially in a town like Tunbridge Wells.
Wendy, who was 25, was found battered to death in her bedsit in Guildford Row.
We knew this neighbourhood had a problem with prowlers, but this murder took us to another level. There was nothing that we wouldn't do to try and catch that killer.
As the murder hunt is stepped up, police are warning other women in the bedsit land to be on their guard, and they're appealing to anyone who spots a prowler to contact them immediately.
The town suddenly became not a safe place to be anymore. And you had to think twice about, well, should I be walking home this way or that way or at all? But I think we all assumed that the police would catch whoever did it and that would be the end of it. We had no idea where it was going.
"25-year-old Wendy Nell was sexually assaulted and beaten to death. Police describe it as one of their most complicated murder investigations for years.
There was no sign of a false entry, and the door to her flat was locked. There was one window into the bedsit which wasn't totally secure and could have been a means of entry. From the scene itself, it appears that the killer likes to be in control. Wendy's clothes were piled in a neat pile. Her bed was tidied. That's not the hallmark of somebody in a rage. That is somebody who's methodical and controlled. Our officers at the scene collected every bit of evidence that they could. In those days, we couldn't rely on DNA analysis because it was in its infancy. There was a shoe print on the sleeve of a blouse in blood, and we looked at all the shoe shops in Tunbridge Wells, and it was identified as being from a particular clerk's shoe. It wouldn't have solved the crime on its own, But put together with other evidence, it was very useful.
Police have already visited every home in the area and taken 200 statements, but say they want more help from the public.
We interviewed people from all over the surrounding areas, people who were stalkers and prowlers, but we just didn't have that break.
The picture built up is of a moody and vicious killer, a man who goes out on his own late at night, returning home in the early hours.
There was an event at the Assembly Hall in Tunbridge Wells. Police were talking about what we can do to be as safe as possible, and we were all given post-personal alarms, these screech-type things. I think we were supposed to carry those around in our handbags and use them if we were attacked. It felt like, actually, this is very, very dangerous. If they're doing this, then things are really bad. Suddenly it wasn't nice little Tunbridge Wells, it was unsolved murder town.
The first of this month's reconstructions tells the story of a 25-year-old woman who lived alone in a bedsit. Local residents recalled two events that night. At 12:30, a peeping Tom was spotted outside a house in nearby Grove Hill Road. And at 1:10, neighbours remember a car, possibly a blue Talbot Horizon, having difficulty starting outside Wendy's house.
At this point, we really had no idea who the killer was. Was it somebody who'd been following her about, stalking her?
We need to eliminate that. It was a light blue or grey Talbot Horizon. It left Guildford Road. Did anybody see it leaving Guildford Road? Or did you see it arrive near where you live sometime in the early hours?
It was established that a couple of things were missing. A diary for 1987 and some keys.
The keys are quite distinctive.
The key fobs she brought back from a recent holiday in Austria.
The whole thing is one mighty jigsaw puzzle that you're trying to put together.
At 8:30, as usual, Wendy Nell left her bedsit for her 15-minute walk to work.
That was surreal, seeing some woman pretending to be my sister.
Right. All you've got to do is check the prices on them and put them into the calculator.
Talking and a haircut similar. Getting off a motorbike and dressing like she did. That was really quite painful.
Was her killer, do you think, someone she knew, or was this an opportunist crime? Do you know?
Well, I'm hoping that a telephone call tonight will answer that question for us.
They still didn't get anywhere, and the time just went on and on and on. I think Dad took the news of the sexual assault really bad, but he didn't talk about it very much. It was heartbreaking, with them not finding anything or not finding him.
He's on the loose now in the Tunbridge Wells area, we understand. How worried are you about that?
I'm very concerned. He may not be in the Tunbridge Wells area, but I'm very concerned that at this time we haven't charged anyone with it.
It was the sort of crime you take home with you and think about. What have I missed? Have I missed something important? I was feeling frustrated because my detectives were working very hard to find the killer.
We believe we got a clear picture in our own minds of what the man is like, and we don't feel that we're that far away from capturing him. We just need that little bit of extra help from the public.
The truth was, we didn't have any one major suspect. And then I received a call that another young woman had been reported missing.
And jump out.
605. 605.